The desert's a tough adversary, but at least it doesn't hide anything. What you see is what you get, and whether you take on the challenge is entirely up to you.
Which is more valuable, unlimited mora or unlimited time?
Не знаю, слышно меня или нет. Надо проверить. Так,
My people are used to the desert life,
подождите.
but still.
Женщина, стой. Так, вроде слышно. Так, ладно, надеюсь, меня слышно нормально. Ну и самое. Так, ну что ж. Кто? Блять. Давайте кто зайдет. Ну, заранее всем привет. Снова стримлю и так далее. В принципе, ладно. Так, начну записывать. Ну, давай вот так. Не так уж громко. Всем привет, сегодня мы будем проходить сюжетку. Тусклому свету. Ну, я уже карту чуть поисследовал тут. Иначе. Так, продолжим.
Let's take a moment to rest.
Не надо. Вот и должно слышно нормально. Вроде все настроено. Да попробуйте пройти сюжетку. По сути, не так уж много ее осталось. Так что здесь закончим. Здесь закончим. Пройдите.
Growing up, I hope the food here will be to your taste.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here.
Потише можно.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of...
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone.
You, sure have your own way of... Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that case after all.
Oh, true. Very true. In that case...
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young...
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed...
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could...
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking...
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a... To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just... It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exist. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting in.
Well, would you consider some more, unique?
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of...
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play.
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard.
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed, then wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as...
That might work, but that's not really the problem.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the iron is hot and all.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really...
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, if we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the... Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so...
Okay. As for expenses this month...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon.
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact the Spina di Rosula. I'll give you... in any case, I wish you smooth sailing.
See ya!
Меня откатило? Или нет, тоже? Да, меня откатило. Окей. Или нет, тоже я ж помню, что... Ладно. Окей.
People around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas
Vache.
Да, блять. Вообще.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? Ugh. That's kinda spooky.
Vache. Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something nasty in the... Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kinda hear... Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
И больше мы его не увидели. океане.
Vache, are you my dear Vache?
Океане.
No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? Wait. Who am I? My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim.
А ведь реально, с помощью этой хуйни, по сути, может и вода превратиться в океане. Он же не просто так расстроился и превратился в эту хуйню. То есть океанит это будущее, это был в прошлом был человек, был человеком, нихуя себе. Пиздец, конечно, тут.
I also remember going to many places. I loved it. No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how, but now we can no longer go back. The pain of such part. No! Our reunion no longer has any meaning. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the wall. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing I still remember. Perhaps that is so, as I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, is that what you call it? Dissolving. If it was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence.
Что, блядь?
Wake up! Come on, hurry! Zombie is outnumbered!
Look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand? Quick, now's our chance! I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
Чё за пиздец? Чё за хуя было только что? Ну чё, несколько лет поспали или чё? Я не понял. Зашибись просто. Взяли, проснулись и все. Ладно.
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking.
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his...
Do not speak of my father.
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Corand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid
Sorry, I did not consider...
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in great...
I doubt I know much more than you. But I believe that the mastermind behind the serial Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against. And what about these garter mechs? I thought only those associated with a
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal...
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not...
I will continue investigating, no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clarant.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Что за пиздец? Только что произошло. Ого.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Corand was being sincere with you.
I know, I just... She's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clarant who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. As such, we're still partners.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di...
All right.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow?
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
Зашибись.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said, that the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
Фонта, да? Фонта. Фанта, блядь.
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So, if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But whoever did this left no That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as...
What? Why would they go after us, too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh,
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial...
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the Traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice call... Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too! But it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that... Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been... Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosso.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But...
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious.
Very good. But let's not let our guard...
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, Traveler.
Не сюда. Ух ты, ёпт. Чё у нас тут? И все. Я думал, больше кому зайти. Молодёзы. Да, я уже забыл. Вот тут. Прикольно выглядит. Правда. Правда.
So, this is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately.
Это видно.
After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people...
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago.
Your father... He was the previous boss of Spina...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, He was accused of murdering his own friend, but he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel. 3 years later, I still don't understand. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in. But however, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did... If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything...
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strain.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not some people love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really false...
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorand.
Понятненько.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was... Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just...
Ms. Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't... She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how there was only ever one choice...
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just...
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have...
Afterward, Ms. Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding as...
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to... All right, anyway. That's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after...
Yeah! Paimon's...
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Доходите.
Paimon slept so well.
Блять.
This place feels almost too safe.
Я теперь зелень хочу.
Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone.
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But...
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No, There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to... And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all the cases... If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently,
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the...
Мне наверх надо или вниз?
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Ага. Опа. Чё там?
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters. Huh. This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Neuvillette's files are...
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. No one can tell. If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave it.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's...
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can...
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
Паси сюда. Да нет. Постучать в дверь.
Please come in.
Ну тебе и хоромы. Сесть можно. Да, какой важный.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Neuvillette. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of...
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse...
И большего никто не увидел.
Who knew that Neuvillette would be so easy to talk to?
Ну да, это странно. Очень даже странно, думаю.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply...
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just... No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only... It's just like last time.
After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all?
Пизда пошла.
Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiny... There are still so many things I never got to tell him. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will...
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart, and it's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's...
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active traffic.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was all...
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the rain? Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained...
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're complete... All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's...
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then.
Что? Где? Окей, погнали.
Whoa, what a huge ship!
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally... A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a... Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main... Maloose, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important... You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You still remember, right, Maloose? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to... At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant...
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotion. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse. And
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how much they threatened, not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end...
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers. All of whom... Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information, but then we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead.
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques... But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're...
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned... I think this third person is probably the key. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of... There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and...
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told... Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect... Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaningless? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and...
So you do know something else, Maloose?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle...
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctor and the serial disappearances case cost him 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some, but as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the... If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victim.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has...
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful.
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was, if Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to fight, I'm sure he'd be extremely...
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought... Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, but thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. And, Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where Synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specific. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in op... There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence, but a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also...
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove—
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping—
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means, thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus... There's someone else like him, too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to them. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically...
I see. These are all people who like to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost...
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience,
Of course. And thank you, Malus.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing and before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Okay.
Who would have imagined that people could... Here we go again, trying to crack an Here we go again, trying to crack an impossible case. All proof...
Desert's a tough adversary, but at least it doesn't hide anything. What you see is what you get, and whether you take on the challenge is entirely up to you.
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh,
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened...
If it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you. Because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to care. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found...
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father...
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth pit. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, so when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us. I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy? If Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a...
Well, things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah, Papa was a really good man.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have...
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth.
Thank you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone...
Так, кто у нас дальше?
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florence should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House? Someone got turned into water right in
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all.
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside. After my partner here put the dots together for me, can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was feeling pretty upbeat that day. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. My first reaction was that Mr. Callis's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callis was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. Reason being, Mr. Callis had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to this. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned, do you think there was a third person there who was turned into water?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no the gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callis ended up with the gun. But hold on. If that's what had happened, he didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. And chose instead. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malouse told me a thing or two. So, I'll tell you everything once the
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callis the Unfaithful epithet has been Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callis. Even after so many. But it was Mr. Callis's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula. No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I respect the most.
Don't worry. I will definitely. You and all our other comrades at the Spina.
Кто у нас дальше? Дальше у нас дальше. Так. Куда?
Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia?
Oh, so you've caught news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Callis did a fantastic job running the town. Building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these 2 friends of yours?
Yes. These 2 are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case, and my father's, may—
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for—
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question.
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully—
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do was get rid of the mecha serial number.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but if you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost so I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, well, thank you for the vote of confidence. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with... I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me...
Уже
Hello. How may I help you? I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for... Sure. I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you...
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House.
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole... I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploit.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkard.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as an...
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact...
Yes. I was reminded of your father's case right away.
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the others...
Oh, and what
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought, but rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smooth. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora. All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his...
Куда, блядь? Сюда? Сюда.
We've talked to all three suspects, purely based on their
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to... Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he let... If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had
Huh. So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the order. Makes sense. But without evidence, that's... Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial...
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite... But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex?
Сути Марсель, скорее всего. Ты хоть поймешь?
Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. And they worked together on and with funds from the Confrérie, he could also afford a large number. Still really hard for me to imagine, though. After all, Uncle... Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business? Thierry, you say? Huh. It is possible that he's figured out a... But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think...
Yeah, had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able... If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.
Florent? It is true that he was... But as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with...
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha army?
Exactly. He can't. And... who could it be?
Блять, у кого может быть?
You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel isn't...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these...
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid the suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses... Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle...
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky. We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our enemy.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking...
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial on our hands.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials? What's so new?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
Зашибись.
What? Is that someone you know?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe even a little too well.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case.
Wait, how? None of our investigations have had anything to—
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our plans.
Right. Because they'll think they've already found—
Yeah. And it'll be a lot harder then to clear Mr. Callus's name.
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just as expected of my partner. Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attention will be focused on— You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to make—
We'll help you, just like you helped us in
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malou, Silver. When—
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require. It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the two of us by your side.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Arrhenius. Paimon.
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Arrhenius, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over.
Так, мне нужно отлучиться, так что давайте-ка я включусь немного.
We mercs have one simple rule. Whoever pays the most is your new boss. The desert's a tough adversary, but at least it doesn't hide anything. What you see is what you get, and whether you take on the challenge is entirely up to you. My people are used to the desert life, but still, I hope that one day they'll be able to find an oasis of their own and leave the sandstorms behind for a better life.
Так, я вернулся. Я, скорее всего, сейчас как раз буду заканчивать записывать видео. Я чуть посмотрел там. И у меня осталось примерно 50 минут, чтобы сюжет полностью закончился. Так что давай-ка я сейчас, наверное, закончу на это видео. И продолжу до сих пор записывать. Так что всем пока-пока. Увидимся в следующей серии. Так, серию записали. Помолчи. Вот так. Так и снова будем записывать. Так. Вот. Всем привет, мы продолжаем проходить звук. Это все возвращается в воду. Угу. Так, ну у нас осталось примерно час или 50 минут, так что давайте уже закончим с этим.
According to Malusa's info, the synth production base is underwater.
Водичка.
Let's go and try to find the entrance. That leads to the synth production base. It sure doesn't seem out of the ordinary. Ah, you're right. An important place like this is bound to have a ton. Navia's probably arguing up a storm right now to stall for us.
It would appear that I must repeat my question again, Mr. Tartaglia. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearance?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged with something I've never even... However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their name. Is that right? In which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all-out fight with that champ. I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've ever received. When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back. Real disappointing.
Hey! Don't you understand? You're currently the prime suspect for a major—
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the Opera House. Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns best in the heat of battle.
No. That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly. And we have made... In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial is to determine the culprit...
That case had nothing to do with him! You've got the wrong man! Huh? What's going on?
Why is she interjecting again?
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui Harbingers.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time, but that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of—
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any respect for this place's— We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to charge the true culprit behind the serial— And if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent by default.
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these rules. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for me to do?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia. Who is the person you would like to charge instead?
That person is...
Блять, кто? Не только он может быть.
Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabriere!
Huh? What confrérie? Never heard of them in my life.
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister organization?
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing to the charge also means taking on the legal, and if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged with the crime of making a false accusation.
Yes.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your places on the members of the guards. Please contact Mr. Marcel right away so that he may stand. Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney. Is that correct?
Apologies. It all just happened so quickly. I still haven't figured. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a misunderstanding between me and not.
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived, Miss Navia, please.
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago. To the case that only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the
Navia, do you really think that I was the one? Come on. Why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor, and remember both you and I only ran to the scene. If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect as well?
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now. The audience...
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before I can...
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage. On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the Confrérie of Cabriere. During the banquet, all attending guests heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun, while his acquaintance, Jacques, lay dead from a gunshot wound. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed, while the second must have taken Jacques' life. The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, he chose to prove his innocence through a duel. Callus was defeated by champion duelist Clarand in the ensuing duel, and soon These are the known facts about the...
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. And even in truth, the third person shot Jacques first, and was shot in turn by my... After that, the true culprit turned the third person into water. Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. Of course, however, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the...
Второй большой банкет, Может это?
Something's not right.
Да... Блядь, меня это бесит, нахуй. Что вот мне тут думать? Что вот, блядь? Ой, в пизду тебе, блядь. Чё тут? Чё тут? Положил, что Ну я в рот ебал тут.
The testimony of the victim's family. However, unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had. This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus, only for Callus to.
Я до сих пор не понимаю, блядь, если кто вообще думает, что сам ни одного.
A pile of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by, but now it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third person at the scene. And that since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to walk. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water.
So that's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea?
What a great theory. It also explains Callus's and Jacques' respective motives.
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal.
Ah, but I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact, there was nothing in her speech that directly implicated me.
Then, may I ask some questions? In my opinion, 1. Do you have the evidence to
I'm afraid not.
Boo! If you don't have any...
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against, we should be able to find a match. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time. Regardless...
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider...
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little...
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after charging an innocent citizen in the
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. Then why didn't Mr. Callus explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved, he could have
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were the dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important... My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had... What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on...
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected.
What?
If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only... Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter, but what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict... Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice? Spina di Rosula, but by staying silent, we retain the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me... And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera...
So, you mean to say, your father...
That's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course. All you need is to ask his opponent... I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. You don't have to, but since he entrusted his will to you, Clarand, you should tell us the truth about his sacrifice.
So, during the duel, did you believe that Callus was
As a champion duelist, I've fought many battles and taken a countless number of dishonored lives in my line of work. I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live or if they're looking to die. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callus never
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still have not explained the link between your father—
Right? What she said was fascinating, but
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial disappearance?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are connected via a matter. In my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callus. As a result, they planned to act, and at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized the culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they were already. Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the bank.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia. It's one of your most endearing traits.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that I was the only person present at both events? On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't someone remotely—
know what she can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations, until alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of murder from a girl you see as your— But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. Ah well, do you know what the biggest flaw in your reasoning is?
I suppose you're gonna tell me anyway.
It's timing again. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high— In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when I received Callus's patronage.
Братан, ты вроде что сказал кое-что.
But the disappearances began before I ever stepped foot in Fontaine.
I do apologize, demoiselle. This was—
No, it's not your fault.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license? You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends and family when I left Snezhna. Could those records and testimonies do something to appease the unspeakable anguish?
Seems like she got the wrong guy.
At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing—
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father's feelings as he neared the end of— But aren't you going against all of his wishes and expectations right now? He wished for you to become more rational, collected, and conscientious once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings and to stop rushing headlong into things.
This isn't just about me. And the biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth. The people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial disappearances, and the people who suffered tragic ends. Many people's images are flashing before my eyes. And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vacher?
Huh.
Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even—
I was waiting for you to say.
Испытание. Отряд. Ладно. Ребят, здравствуйте.
I see everything. Right here. Emerge. Right here. Everyone hold hands. go up, but Paimon doesn't see a way. Let's take a look around. Maybe we'll find a hidden mechanism that'll show us the way up. The water level is rising. Now we can swim to the top. But this is still a ways away from where we need to go. I see everything. Emerge. Right now. Right here. Yeah, yeah. Hey. I see everything. Emerge. Right here. Emerge. This place hurt a little.
Я сундук-то забрал. Хотя, в принципе, пофиг. Блять, я не помню, забрал там сундук. Нет, там нет сундука. Активировать. Сундука нет, то нет.
Emerge. Right here. Hey. Emerge. Right now. Commit to memory. I see everything. Right here. Right now. Right here. Let's get it on! Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Whew. After all that, we finally made it to the inner... Though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here. That's right. Then let's hurry up and find some evidence. What's all this? Oh, pink accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a Paimon sees it too, but why are all these cute things labeled with different girls' names? Huh? You mean the girls from the serial disappearances? And then they were... and all the boxes of things. These names. Whoa! There's so much synth here! And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the waters. Mixing in progress. Ready to drink? Whoa! There's even fruit-flavored synth? Yep, it's super obvious. What's this over here? Looks like some kind of place for research. Experiment number 16 aims to verify Jacob Ingold's research conclusions on the primordial... The experiment was a failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water from the primordial sea. Females... Sorry, traveler. Paimon will try her best. It's just... how can someone write something that terrible in such a matter-of-fact... You read the rest. Paimon's too scared to keep going. So that's why he did all of these wait, did he really think he'd be able to find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane! Huh? Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain? Paimon thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case.
То есть все это он делал?
You mean Vache is the one who did all of these... experiments? So that's it! Vache was no victim, but personally took his lover and...
Пипец.
No, that's not it either! If that's the case, why would he want people to resurface from the water? In any case, Paimon will... Let's see what's written here. Nothing escapes Detective Paimon's eyes. Callus. Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report. Yep, it's about finding someone to assassinate Jacques and Callus because of a... This should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have not determined the exact content of the key information Callus has passed on to certain members of his The old dog's a real menace to deal with. Even if he abides by the promise he's made to us, he can act whenever he wants to make our lives miserable. The only I concur. Let's send someone to kill him. He won't declare war as long as we don't touch Navia. Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups. They're all just... Oh, look! There's an important-looking basin over here, and it's full of water! That means this is where they make all the synth! And that's... if you dilute it with normal water, you'll get synth! But the pure stuff can dissolve a human! Paimon will take notes on this incriminating... We've looked at almost everything here, and it seems like our theories were... Yeah! We haven't found anything that reveals his true... No wonder even Neuvillette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is probably destroyed everything to do with that name a long time. That way, even if we bring all this back to the opera, we won't be able to identify the true culprit. Sure thing. Paimon won't admit
Здесь мы посмотрели. Тоже... А чё? Ошибся? Бесчисленные крики. Я что-то вроде еще видел. Блять, мы это все видели.
You take that side and Paimon will take this side. Check everything carefully. We'll find... Ugh. Nothing at all. And Paimon can't even find snacks either. Whoa, really? Let Paimon see. Vinier. Isn't that Vache's lover's name? Then you found her diary. Aw. It's just a normal diary chronicling their love story. She was so sweet, too. Oh, Paimon feels even worse for her now. So many! A whole page's worth! But they're all crossed out. The final name she decided, Marcel.
Понятно.
Wait, but Marcel's pretty old. Has this case been going on for so long that he's Vache and Vinier's grown son? Hey!
And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vache? Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say that.
I was...
Navia! We're back!
As expected of my partner.
Just how often do you intend to flout the rules of this court?
It's all right, Monsieur Nervalette. Given their confidence, I...
По сути,
But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vache.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair and we already know everything! After your lover, Vinier, was dissolved, you kept abducting young women to experiment on the hopes of bringing her back to you! You even created Marcel as a new identity and destroyed all records of your past as Vache!
So that's it. Even the villains in opera performances rarely go that far. And with that, Marcel's motive has now been established.
This information regarding your past also dismantles your prior timing Well, Marcel, do you... You fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention, so you never noticed how we changed, or how we grew with...
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for...
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination?
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself. Otherwise, the trial will move on.
Do you really think I want to pay attention to you? What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized with my pain? Ever known how it feels to watch the love of your life dissolve right in front of your eyes?
Ты же это сделал сам. Ты же сам это сделал.
No one helped me. No one even believed me. All those decades ago, they said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Then yet, well, now you know, don't you? Ha! Well, You only have yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your so-called justice. Your beloved drama, Vignier, is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she goes, but I'm not from this blasted place. So I can't be dissolved. No matter what I do.
Нет, ты же сам это сделал, инвалид. О, no.
Is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
I can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Do you all see? I can't go! I can't follow! So if I can't go where she is, what choice do I have but to try to bring her back? I did all of that. And in the end, that accursed Callus, I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot daughter at the very end.
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Guards, please restrain him.
Don't touch me! Don't anybody come near me! I still need to save Vignier. Please, Vignier. Don't think badly of me.
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction, the charges against Mr. Tartaglia no longer have any basis.
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that,
Traveler, please submit all the evidence you have collected to the guards, so that I might review and summarize the truth behind the serial disappearance. The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover. During an underwater expedition, Vignier accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea and was dissolved in front of Vacher as a result. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others and began to kidnap young women for research, with the goal of discovering a method to restore. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business in Poisson. During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria. However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, he came into conflict with... After exchanging blows with Spina di Rosula for many years, Vacher decided to assassinate their president. Although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into the murder suspect by and just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case, using this. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial disappearances case. The Oratrice will now deliver the final verdict regarding the charges against Miss... According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Mr. Vacher is... guilty.
Guards! Take Vacher away.
Good. It's what he deserves.
With that, the serial disappearances case...
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite and well-spoken...
He's hurt so many innocent people and now he's finally... Huh? Are you okay?
Demoiselle, you were absolutely brilliant.
The day our late boss had always hoped for has finally come. You can rest easy now.
Yeah. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula's still doing well with me at the helm.
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served, past wrongs have been... Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still...
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
What now? None of this has anything to do...
According to court protocol, since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding the initial charge before the trial can...
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught the real criminal? Isn't it time for side—
Please respect the laws of Fontaine. This has always been the—
all right, but this sure is a lot of hassle. All I need to do is stand over there, right?
Through evidence presented in the public trial that was just held, it has been established that Mr. Tartaglia has no direct connection. The guilty party has been identified, and thus it is logical to suppose Mr. Tartaglia. We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render— According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse, guilty.
What?
Hey! That's not funny! Didn't you just say— What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine malfunctioning?
Huh? This has never happened before. The Oratrice?
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think the Oratrice might have just convicted him on general principle?
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances case? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case, right?
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale is, by law, the final verdict of the guards. Please take the suspect into custody.
Заебись.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
He's activating his spell legacy!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
Monsieur Neuvillette? What's going on? Shipmate!
Apologies. This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of all I do is follow court procedure. As for why the Oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than me.
Why are you looking at me? I had nothing to do with it!
Да, конечно.
I don't know what happened there either. Hey, stop staring at—
What does Lady Farina mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible. Didn't she create the Oratrice herself?
Да.
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this...
Все, истерика.
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to— Don't tell me. You thought even I had been blindsided by the Oratrice's result.
Конечно, хотя видно.
But the way she looked just now, it was pretty obvious she had no—
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, and of course, for every performance, there is a script. Everything If you thought Child had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, all shall be revealed in time. You will come to understand. Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time—
So she chose to make her escape after all, did she?
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she just—
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth, it's unlikely that she actually... However, please be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been...
Alright. Even though we feel pretty badly for him, after all, he's done plenty of bad stuff. So he should have known he'd go to prison someday, right?
А чё, уже спиздили? Могут поговорить даже.
Oh, Monsieur Nervalet! That power you showed when you took him down.
I'm the Chief Justice of Fontaine, of course. If officers of the law...
Well...
Hey, what are you doing? Quick, stop him!
Traveler! Hey! Traveler!
Marcel! What are you doing over here?
Stop resisting arrest! Cease, or we'll add another charge.
No, wait! I just want to ask the Traveler something. I'm not looking to run away. Please, please, just let me ask this one small thing.
Go on.
Thank you. Thank you. I was being led away when I finally realized something. Where did you first hear the name Vacher? I erased all records of that name. So...
Are you still trying to prove your innocence? Give it up. You've already been convicted.
Really? You did? You're sure? You met her? But how could that be? How did you... The Fountain of Lucine? Then she's been so close to me all along. Please, please give me a chance to talk to her again. Just let the Traveler take me to the fountain to see her one last time. This is the last request I'll ever make in my life. You can do whatever you want to me after...
What? Give an inch and you want to take a mile? Do you think serial killers get to make requests like...
Paimon agrees. Why should we give him what he wants when he's only...
This request, is it worth as much to you as your life?
Of course! Wait, no. It's worth even...
Humans. Will they betray the instinct to live just to satisfy... Very well. I will...
Your Honor, I fear that...
I will go with him. You do not need to worry.
In that case, I shall leave him in your
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Is this the place? You said she's here, but what do I need to do to see her?
Yeah, and even Paimon could hear her after drinking that thing. Didn't you just drink a lot of it on the...
Vacher!
Ah!
Yes, that's it. So...
Vignier, it's me! It's me, Vacher!
Vacher? Vacher!
I'm here! I'm here! Where are you, Vignier?
Hey, wait! Be careful!
Vignier, is that you? It's me, Vacher! Vignier!
Vacher? Why did you come? Didn't I say? You look a lot older than I remember. How long has it...
It's been more than 20 years. I've suffered for over 20 years since all this time. Only the thought of bringing you back has kept me alive. I must be dreaming. Who would have thought I'd get the chance to tell you all? Vignier, you are my everything. I really don't know how I could...
But Vacher, if you ask me, this world would be better off.
What are...
If not for you, I would have finished my law degree and probably become a top-tier attorney one day. If not for you, I would have continued to pursue my love of the art. If not for you, I would at least have been able to take care of my mother. And she would not have grown old and died alone. It's all because of your selfishness, Vache.
You... Wait, you are not Vignier.
You're right. I am not Vignier. I am the every woman who died by your hand. As our bodies dissolved, our consciousnesses flowed back to the primordial sea. Our thoughts circulated endlessly within the primordial sea. And we were no longer individuals. But we became one. I'm Cressy. I'm Lemony. I'm Azine. The only one I am not is Vignier.
Вот это крипово, блять, конечно.
Why? But then, where...
She doesn't want to see you anymore. Every tendril of her consciousness. This is what you get for your selfishness. Your selfishness robbed us of our lives and our futures. But did you ever consider whether she'd want to see you do the things that you did? If she would just...
Всё.
You are a liar, a heartless murderer. The only thing you are not is Vignier's. From the moment your first victim died and her consciousness merged with Vignier's, she has had nothing but...
No! Yeah! She can't hate me. Let me see her, please!
You still don't understand. When I said don't look for me, that came from the real. But on top of that, she also said that because... She said that because she knew that if you did come here, we will show no mercy to you.
Vache.
Vache? Vache. 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 Vache.
Drown. Умри. Разбудись, давай. Пиздец. Блин, да, пиздец. О, дальше пошел снова.
Finally, we have some time to do shopping. Gosh, it's really been a long time since we've been able to relax.
Huh. Well met, partner. I knew something great was going to happen when I woke up.
Even this weather can't put a damper on the demoiselle's mood.
It's a pleasure to see you both again.
Oh, hey, Navia! It's been a few days. Paimon's already...
Oh, now that I believe. I'm easy to work with and always...
Sounds like you're really enjoying life these days, Navia.
It's just been one thing after the other. I've been making non-stop trips between... Everyone from Spina di Rosula organized a memorial for my father. We never held a memorial when he first died. This time, though, everyone in Poisson, and even many people from the court...
So his name's definitely been cleared now.
It's been the dearest wish of demoiselle.
That blasted stubborn fool. I was right to put my face... Oh, by the way, I ran into Charlotte just after I left the memorial service. Well, maybe it'd be more accurate to say I knew she would be there.
Huh? So you know Charlotte too? The Charlotte?
Yeah, way back when I first became the president of the Spina di Rosula, she was all over me. Wouldn't take... I believe the story was called The True Heart of Darkness. Secret Tales of the Yellow Rose. To be fair, though, it was a really flattering feature. She was trying to lean on our friendship to get me to do an exclusive piece on the serial disappearance.
Oh yeah, she told us about that. She's always been...
Anyway, I told her to make sure that when she writes about you guys entering the opera house with the critical evidence...
Now that's another thing to look forward to. We trust Charlotte's...
Oh, and in other news, I also took Clorande...
Oh, are you two on better terms now?
While you were investigating Vache's headquarters, Clorande, it was thanks to her that we were able to turn the tide. I wanted to thank her. I mean...
Oh, that's great. also thought Clarend wasn't actually a bad person.
Anyway, now that the case has finally been solved, perhaps it will slowly begin. Oh, actually, there's still.
What is it?
I should pay a visit to my father's grave and tell him the truth of what happened. And on top of that, that includes me.
Miss Navia.
Indeed.
We want to go too! We also think Callus is a really admirable.
Sure thing. I'd like you two to share the moment with me.
And in that case, everyone, let's be off. Considering the recent weather...
Yeah, you're right. It's been raining non... Huh. This is where my father's grave is.
Huh? There's someone there already.
Hmm?
Isn't that Nervalette? Why would the Chief Justice be here? Huh? Navia?
My apologies. I should have asked before coming to pay my respects.
Don't say that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I was trying to say I wanted to show my father how much I've grown. But still, I doubt I've grown to the point that even the Chief Justice would feel compelled to apologize.
In that case, I will stop apologizing.
You really could use some pointers on understanding human emotions, Monsieur Nervalette. In any case, why did you come to...
Well, ever since that day, I've been turning a question. There was once a time when I didn't want to believe that there could be anything more important to humans. Oh, rather than that, it's probably more truthful to say I didn't believe humans were capable of resisting the most basic instinct of living, which is also why I didn't stop your father from beginning that fateful duel. I believed that a truly innocent man would never throw away his life like that. That there was nothing, but Mr. Callus proved me utterly and decisively wrong. If not for his sacrifice, the serial disappearances case would have remained unsolved to this day. Mr. Callus made the choice he did for his daughter, for his associates, and for many people completely unrelated to him. And in the end, from a certain perspective, one could say that he did it all a justice that's higher than life. So, you asked me why I came here. I just wanted to say my apologies to Mr. Callus in person. I should have noticed all of this. This regret has filled me with a sadness that has haunted me for days. That high and mighty chair in the opera Epiclese indeed insulates one from many important things. Spina di Rosula, thank you so much for your heart.
I'm sorry for being mad at you before. So, you're actually one of those types that's cold on the outside, but pretty thoughtful on the inside, huh?
Sorry about that. Self-expression is not one of my...
Didn't I just say you don't need...
So Navia and Nervalette seem to have made their peace as well. Let's not disturb them for now. We can wait till after they're done. Paimon's never paid respects at someone's grave before. Huh? Oh, Paimon didn't know that was a thing. Oh no. Paimon hopes Miss Navia won't be too mad. Anyway, Nervalette is still standing around there. It's not often that we can catch him alone like this, so... Paimon's really...
what are you saying, Paimon?
Well, aren't you not supposed to fly around someone's grave?
Huh?
Hey, traveler! Why did you mess with...
Oh, it's you two. Did Miss Navia invite you to come pay your...
We ran into Navia on the streets today, so we just...
I see.
Well, it's pretty hard to run into...
Please feel free. Though outsiders, you helped us solve one of the greatest mysteries in Fontaine, and it would be my pleasure to return the favor.
referred to that special water as water from the primordial...
Truthfully, that name is already quite accurate. I can only surmise that Vache and his ilk only learned of its nature and existence after extensive... There used to be a special sea on the surface of this planet. The nature of its seawater... Most of Tevat's life forms were first born in that special sea.
Huh. So it really was where everything began.
But today, the primordial sea no longer exists on the planet's surface. What Vache discovered must have been some kind of special case, or a remnant from a truly ancient age.
Huh. So that's how it is. Oh, you really know everything, Monsieur Ne...
Indeed. Why would the primordial sea, which was known to engender and nurture life, to be frank, that also doesn't match my understanding of this world and its law. Is there anything else you'd like? That the sea levels will rise and everyone will be dissolved in water, leaving Farina crying alone on her throne, but the sins of the people will be finally washed away for good? Does that appropriately summarize the version you've heard?
That's right! It was Linny that told us back then.
Yes, up to the present, I think we reached a point where we have no choice but to confront this prophecy directly. Rumors have it that this prophecy is rooted in the last words the former Hydro Archon left to the world.
A prophecy? Of the former Hydro Archon?
2 parts of the prophecy have already proven correct. The rising sea levels, and the ability of the people of Fontaine to be dissolved. Speaking of the prophecy, Farina has also always taken it quite seriously. And if the rumors were true, then perhaps this prophecy is the conundrum left.
But with Farina being the way she...
Is there anything else you'd like to add? My apologies. My investigation has... However, I still believe the judgment of the Oracle...
But you also said you thought he was...
For many years, I have been quite aware that the Oratrice does not simply mechanically repeat as a divinely created mechanism. The people's unified faith, not only can it produce the incredible power of indemnitium, but it likely also possesses other traits. Which is all to say, I have been prepared for a situation like this.
Huh. So when Linny told us that he heard a human voice from the room...
I was not aware such a thing had occurred. Perhaps that could serve to prove my In any case, I am inclined to believe that the Oratrice does have a methodology. Based on Farina's reaction, I doubt even she had any idea what was going on. While we do intend to get to the bottom of this, for now, we regret to say that if we did incorrectly convict him of crimes he did not commit, we will most certainly compensate him.
If you ask Paimon, the only compensation he'll want is a no-holds-barred fight.
Is there anything else you'd like? Your sibling, another blonde-haired traveler. I'm sorry, but I've never seen anyone who matches that description. If she ever stepped foot in Fontaine, I'm sure she followed our laws to the letter, and had no reason to appear on the stage. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about? Very well. It was my honor to provide you with what answers I could. It will soon be time for me to leave this blissful tranquility behind.
You really are super busy, Monsieur Neuvillette. Paimon thought...
Crime and villainy do not have the day off, and so justice must work around the clock as well. This is merely the nature of a justice's work.
All right. You've got a point. Huh? Paimon just noticed that the rain has stopped.
Так, ну что ж, сюжетка закончилась. Полностью. Да, скорее всего, на видео тоже закончится, но очевидно, потому что сейчас тут снимать. И, скорее всего, стрим тоже. Потому что, ну, стрим пока тоже не хочется, так что увидимся когда-нибудь в ивентах. Так что, да. Хотя кое-где тоже скоро будет обновление, так что, может, и постримлю другой режим, ну, игру. Ну, как сказать, в Роблоксе. По приколу могу постримить, потому что, как я сказал, в одном режиме будет обнова. Видео вряд ли буду записывать по нему, но постримить могу, в принципе, по приколу. Так что увидимся, скорее всего, в ивентах и когда-нибудь в новых сюжетах в Ханкае и Genshin. Всем пока-пока. Так, ну что ж. Сюжетка закончилась. Не надо. Сюжетка закончилась. В принципе, прикольно. В принципе, отличия от других сюжеток нету, но неожиданных поворотов, в принципе, есть. В принципе, неплохие даже. Так, ну поскольку стримы тоже буду заканчивать, так что всем пока. Увидимся. Ну, как я говорил, в стримах каких-нибудь, ну, скорее всего, в субботу, ну, вряд ли. Либо в каких-нибудь ивентах. Так что всем пока-пока.